People say Suge Knight was unforgiving, and there are countless stories about his harsh treatment of those who crossed him. Even the artist DaBaby dedicated an entire track to this giant, titled Suge. Welcome to the Music Icon documentary channel. Today we will delve into the story of Suge Knight. You will discover the roots of his notorious behavior, which ultimately led to a 28-year prison sentence. Marion Hugh Knight Jr. is his full name, born on April 19, 1965. He spent his formative years in Compton, where life was relatively normal at first. The city was initially dominated by a white population, but as they started moving away, African Americans began to fill the void, plunging Suge into a new and challenging environment. Gangs, violent confrontations, and chaos surrounded him. The first time he witnessed a life taken was when he was just 5 or 6 years old. One day, he stumbled upon a deceased man with $5,000 on him. He took half of it and gave it to his mom. As a child, his hefty build earned him the nickname Sugar Bear. He attended Linwood Middle School, where he excelled in American football, becoming a star. He loved the physicality of the game, even enjoying the damage it did to his helmet. But why was he this way? Suge explained that growing up in the ghetto, you had to fight for everything. After college, Knight wasn't picked up by any NFL teams but was selected for the Los Angeles Rams training camp. He played 2 games for the Rams during the 1987 season. In his view, the NFL exploited players like slaves, and he wasn't happy with how he was treated. After failing to make it in professional football, Knight dropped the bear from his nickname and under the moniker Suge, became a bodyguard for high-profile clients. In the late 1980s, he connected with artists like Bobby Brown and other popular African-American musicians, taking on various roles, from security to promoter, and even getting involved in some questionable activities. In October 1987, Knight was arrested and charged with domestic violence for attacking his girlfriend and cutting her hair in public. He was also arrested for allegedly stealing a car while carrying a concealed weapon. He faced charges of attempted unaliving after firing a weapon at a driver during a carjacking. He pleaded guilty and received 2 years of probation. Suge established his own promotion company, Nightlife, and hired a ghostwriter named Mario Johnson. Johnson wrote the hit song Ice Ice Baby for Vanilla Ice, which became a global sensation. However, when the royalties failed to materialize, Suge decided to confront Vanilla Ice. They initially approached him at a restaurant, starting with a friendly tone, but the conversation soon moved to a hotel. Vanilla Ice claims the encounter was less dramatic than it's often portrayed, asserting that Suge conducted himself professionally, though there were undertones of threats and coercion. Suge later met Dr. Dre, who felt wronged by his contract, and Suge offered him better terms to bring him on board. Dr. Dre agreed, but convincing Eazy-E and Jerry Heller to release him from his contract required more forceful tactics. Initially, Suge tried to confront Heller at his office, but when he wasn't there, Suge took out his frustration on 2 of Heller's associates, making them crawl on the floor and bark like dogs. Eazy-E eventually set up a meeting with Dr. Dre, but instead, Suge arrived with his entourage. Contrary to what the movies depict, Eazy-E wasn't physically harmed, but he was threatened, with Suge warning that his family could be in danger if he didn't comply. This intimidation led to the signing of the release agreement for Dr. Dre. NWA couldn't escape Suge's wrath and hired security for protection. Their manager, Jerry Heller, brought in 2 bodybuilding champions as bodyguards. Eventually, Suge, along with Private Part Griffey, the owner of Solar Records, and Dr. Dre, founded Death Row Records. While they had their headquarters, they desperately needed funding, which came from Michael Harrio Harris, a major player in the Los Angeles illegal substance trade who had built a legitimate business image through various ventures. Harris was in prison, so communication was tricky. In 1992, an unsettling event occurred in the studio. When Death Row Records was just gaining momentum, Dr. Dre invited 2 aspiring rappers, Linwood and George Stanley, to record. For these 2, it was a dream come true until Suge Knight showed up. Linwood took a call on the phone Suge used to contact Harris, a call that was crucial. Suge asked Linwood to hang up, but Linwood snapped back, telling Suge to leave him out of his criminal dealings. Suge then pulled out a fire weapon and fired twice into the wall. He forced the 2 rappers to strip to their underwear and severely beat them. To ensure they didn't report the incident, Suge confiscated their IDs, threatening to fine them if they went to the authorities. Shockingly, that's exactly what they did after leaving the studio, battered and bruised. When the case went to court, Suge managed to escape severe consequences by offering the prosecuting attorney's daughter a record deal, effectively buying his way out of trouble. The prosecutor, Larry Longo, was eventually fired from the Los Angeles District Attorney's office. Death Row Studios also reportedly had a red room where beatings occurred as part of initiation or punishment. One incident involved a man who wanted to sign a contract with the label. Suge agreed, but warned that if he wasn't satisfied, he would face a beating. After saying only 2 words, the man was beaten. Even women weren't spared this treatment. In 1995, a particularly chilling incident involved Happy Walters, the manager of House of Pain and Cypress Hill. After a dispute with Suge, Walters disappeared while withdrawing money from an ATM, leaving behind only his wallet. He was found 3 days later, wandering Long Beach, severely burned, possibly by a cigar, and with his head shaved. When questioned by the police, Walters refused to name his attackers. After recovering, he swiftly fired several artists from his label. Suge signing Tupac to Death Row marked a turning point. Many, including those in the documentary Welcome to Death Row, believed that Tupac's behavior became more erratic and aggressive under Suge's influence. Suge claimed he tried to steer Tupac away from such behavior, but the change was evident. Tupac, who had once focused on social issues, became more entangled in the thug life mentality. In 1995, Eazy-E passed away, and there's a clip that has become legendary. Eazy-E's son and his manager, Jerry Heller, believed that it was the best outcome, preventing Eazy-E from unaliving Suge. Suge later mocked Puff Daddy at the Source Awards. On September 23, 1995, Suge's close friend and bodyguard, J. Hassan Jamal Robles, was unalived after a confrontation between Death Row and Bad Boy Records at a club. Suge blamed Puff Daddy for Robles' death. In 1996, Tupac was unalived while riding in a car with Suge Knight. There were rumors that Suge orchestrated the incident because Tupac wanted to leave the label. After Tupac's passing, Death Row Records began to crumble. Suge was later imprisoned for his involvement in a fight on the day Tupac was unalived. He claimed he wasn't part of the actual fight, but tried to prevent it. Despite his claims, Suge was sentenced to prison. There are suspicions that while in prison, Suge hired someone to take out Biggie, but he denied these allegations, stating it didn't make sense for him to do so while he was incarcerated. After his release, Suge even had a run-in with Eminem. Big Nas, Eminem's former security guard, recounted an incident in 2001 at the Source Awards where Suge and his crew confronted Eminem. Later, Suge allegedly tried to harm Eminem during a concert in Hawaii, but police intervened. In 2008, Suge was arrested on charges of possession of an illegal substance and aggravated assault. The police witnessed him hitting a naked woman while holding a knife. He was charged with assault with a deadly weapon, possession of an illegal substance, and domestic violence. He was released on a $19,000 bail. In 2014, Suge survived 6 gunshots and underwent surgery, showcasing his resilience. Suge claimed that divine intervention had saved him numerous times, and he continued to refuse cooperation with law enforcement. However, in 2015, Suge was arrested again, this time for a hit-and-run incident that resulted in the unaliving of his friend, Terry Carter, and injuries to another person, Clay Sloan. The incident occurred in Compton, California, near the set of the film Straight Outta Compton. Witnesses reported that Suge and the victims had an argument that escalated, leading Suge to use his truck as a weapon. The next day, Suge turned himself in to the police and was detained. Suge's lawyer claimed that Suge had no intention of harming anyone and was trying to flee the scene of a heated conflict. On September 21, 2018, Suge Knight was sentenced to 28 years in prison. He accepted a plea deal for involuntary manslaughter, resulting in a 22-year sentence, with an additional 6 years added due to California's 3 strikes law. This law mandates harsher penalties for individuals with prior convictions. That's the story of Suge Knight. Thank you for joining us as we explored the tumultuous life of Suge Knight, a figure whose impact on the music industry was as profound as it was controversial. From his rise in Compton to the creation of Death Row Records, and ultimately his downfall, Suge's story is a complex tale of power, fear, and consequences. If you found this documentary insightful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth looks into the lives of music icons. Until next time, stay tuned.